Who am I? The girls them sugar.
All right, now we live, bro.
What's up, man?
What it do? What it do?
Good, bro.
Who am I? The girls them
You know what
sugar.
it is?
Yo, who am
Oh
I?
my God,
Who
bro,
am
we
I?
back. We back. The second vid edition, man.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
How you living?
You know, got a little backdrop now. You know, you see, got the
Okay,
little picture.
vid.
You know what I
The
mean?
last vid, you didn't took that to heart, didn't you? You took the last day, so shit.
The crazy thing is, you got me that poster though. That's the crazy.
No,
thing.
really?
Yeah, bro. For my
Oh,
going
that's
away.
AI.
Yeah, that's AI crossing
Yeah,
Jordan.
I remember that.
I remember you.
About
Got
time you friend that about 15 years ago.
I've been had it for about 4 years. You know what I mean?
I'm on this nectar of the gods right here, man. This is the
Nectar of the gods.
Mhm.
Get my lighting situation.
Oh, do you think? We learned it. We learned on the go.
Well, figured it out. We doing it live. We doing it live.
Today I got time,
We
cuz.
learning, bro. We learning, bro.
Bro.
All right, what's up, man? What we talking about today, man? We got a lot of
A
shit.
lot to talk about, though. We got a lot to talk about.
Music was kind of underwhelming for me though.
Really?
I felt that way.
Man, I listened to a lot of music this weekend.
Shit, let's talk about it.
Yeah, you want to go albums or you want to go singles first? Because
You do your thing. You do your thing.
I think just to transition to, because we got a lot of music topics today. I'll start with albums and then we'll kind of use the singles to transition to
Yep.
man.
Who man?
Yeah, man.
Ooh.
But for albums, obviously I think one of the biggest drops was Kehlani. She dropped her album called It Was Good Until It Wasn't. I think it's dope. I think it was dope that Drake helped her come up with the title. She said she had a conversation with Drake and then she said that phrase or whatever, and he was like, "Hey, say that again." And he's like, "It was good until it wasn't," and then that's how she came up with the title, which I think is dope. I really like the project, and I've been saying this is probably sound like a broken record, but like I think I figured out why I like women R&B at this point, because I feel like they are more diverse in what their topics are. You know what I mean? Like, when you listen to like Tory Lanez, when he get into his R&B, we listen to K Camp when you get into R&B, it's all good music. Don't get me wrong, but they kind of stay in like the same 2 or 3 lanes. You know what I mean? And we'll talk about this in a later topic, but with Kehlani, she kind of can hit so many different lanes. Like she could talk about being in love, she could talk about being a savage, she could talk about being in the street, she could talk about being in love with a woman, then she could talk about being in love with a man, then she could talk about like so much, she could be vulnerable in one and then she could be toxic in another. So I like that diversity because it just feels real. Like I don't think any one of us is just one way all the time. We all got a broad range of emotions, and I think she captures a lot of that with a lot of her songs.
The range, right? That's what they call
The range,
the range.
the range, facts. But some standout tracks for me. I think my personal favorite was "Can I" with Tory Lanez. I really like "Change Your Life" with Janae Aiko. "Serial Lover," I'm really liking that "Serial Lover." That's creeping up into my favorites off the album. And then "Can You Blame Me?" I don't think Lucky Day can do any wrong. So the fact that they collaborated together, that was just a dope track. But I really enjoyed the album. I really did.
I thought it was really good. I just think that compared to the other R&B like albums that came out this year, I don't know if it like cracked my top 3, which is fine. I mean, it's early in the year and it's early in the growth of this album, so it has time to grow. And that's not to say that's a bad thing, right? Like it's a good album. It's a good album. I've never really listened to too many Kehlani albums in full. Have you? I heard tracks, but I've never really like listened to a full album.
Yeah, I think I listened to her debut album, and then the last album was pretty dope.
Yeah. So my problem with this is kind of the problem I have with other artists that have like albums. The features are the songs with the features to me are better than the songs without.
Yeah.
That to me, like it gives me a weird feeling that I don't know what to listen to when it's just you. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's not to say that the songs that's just her are not bad, are not good. They're not bad. It's just that the songs with the features are way better, like significantly better. So that always puts me in a weird place when I listen to when I listen to artists and I see like, oh well, you with somebody else is better. That's the same Ty Dolla $ign problem that he got. You know what I mean? I don't want that to grow on you. So we'll see. We'll see what comes of it. But I think it's a good album. I think I think going forward, it's gonna be tough for her to like. This sound is created so much right now. Like it's repeated so much. Like almost all of the best female artists have a sound that's similar to this, right? Like Janae Aiko, right? Snow Allegro, right? Kiki kind of got a sound like this, is a little bit more trap to it. But all of the ones that we like a lot got this sound. So what are you going to do to actually progress this sound or make it better or stand out in this? That's what I would say to Kalani.
That's a good take. Just because the lane is already so crowded, it's like it's good, but in a crowded lane, you kind of have to be great to set yourself apart.
You have to be great. We said the same thing about Janae Aiko way back. Like Janae Aiko was one of the authors of this sound.
Facts.
So she came out album. We even criticized her just a bit to say like, hey, this album is good, but there's people doing it better right now, right? Like Summer Walker is kind of on this sound. Like,
Facts.
It's just, what are you going to do to progress it or do better? That's all. Yeah.
But overall, though, I still think it's a good project. It's a
good album. But we here to critique it though.
Oh yeah.
We can't just be like, oh, it was good. All right, move next album. We here. If I had to critique it, that's what I would be to say.
No, that's facts. That's facts.
Nectar of Gods, agree.
The nectar of the gods. You don't get your goddamn murder hornet looking ass. All right. So another from transitioning from R&B to slime and B, you know what I mean? Chris Brown and Young. Chris Brown and Young Thug dropped the Slime and B album. I'm not gonna lie, this exceeded my expectations. Like,
it definitely exceeded my expectation. I'll give you that.
I was not expecting to enjoy it this much. I really did appreciate. You know what I figured out? I appreciate Chris Brown when he can cut his albums to about 13 songs. Like I think this has 13 tracks. Like just cut it to a reasonable number. Like I don't need 50 tracks from you, Chris Brown. I need a solid 13, and I'm cool with that. I do think, me personally, I enjoyed the first half of the project more than I enjoyed the second half of the project. My favorite tracks were Trap Back with Major 9, Big Slimes. That's my favorite right there. That's my go-to. Big Slimes with Gunna and Lil Duke. Go Crazy and Say You Love Me, the 2 intro tracks. Those go hard. But overall, I think it's a good project. Like I don't have this in my top, albums of the year, but I just gave it a listen just to say that I'll listen to it, but I didn't regret it. Like I didn't see myself skipping through all the way through. Like I listened to it, enjoyed it, went back a couple of times. Like those standout tracks, like I've definitely put them in my rotation, but pretty solid project.
There's not a ton that I'll go back to though.
No.
Yeah, there's not a ton that I could say I'll be listening to for a long time, which is kind of the game we playing in this type of hip hop. Like we trying to figure out which ones is gonna last and which one's not. So this one is not one of those that I feel like I'm gonna listen to for a long time, but that's okay. Like it's good for this moment. Like it's good for right now. It's a weird kind of thing with these dual projects. That's like they're just not hitting the same as like What a Time to Be Alive came out, right? And that one was one of the big ones, right? Ever since then, I mean, we had Travis Scott and Quavo, Young Thug and Future dropped one. There's a few others, but they don't seem to really be connecting like that right now. Like I don't know what it is, if it's the wrong 2 people that's mixing together. We even had Jay Electronica and Jay-Z, and I haven't heard a track from that in a long time. You know what I mean? So so these joint projects is they're not hidden like they should. Because you remember back in, it's not really a joint project, but joint like features was kind of big back when we was growing up though. Like we talked about Lil Wayne last week, where like features just would hit and hit and hit and hit. Right. And even songs like Swag Like Us, when like 4 people get together, like 4 really rappers get together, like those type of things used to be a big deal. Now it seems like, I don't know if it's coming too often or what it is, or if it's the wrong 2 people that's combining on it or what, but it just don't really feel like it hit like that. You hear those 2 names and you would think like, okay, Young Thug is coming off of, you can argue, his best album. Mm-hmm. Chris Brown is just Play-Doh. He fits in any like role really that you need him to fit in any song, any track, any album. So it should, I on paper it sounds like it'd be great, but when you listen to it, it's just kind of light. You know what I mean? So I don't really know what to say about it. It's just it's cool, but it's not something I'm gonna listen to for a long time.
Yeah, but you got we got to check our bias too, because like we personally we love What a Time to Be Alive. You know what I mean? That was just
Yeah.
a moment in time for us, but a lot of people had some crazy critiques about it. A lot of people had the same critique that you have about this project for them. I think part of that goes to people, like artists aren't getting into the studio together and creating, rather than like Young Thug will make a song and be like, all right, bet, let me throw this to Chris Brown and he'll put something on it. Rather than like when you got a project like Watch the Throne where they lock in and they actually produce music together. And, you know, back in the day when you kind of produce something together, it's just a different type of feel. And then the novelty, like you said, is kind of wearing off because so many people are doing it. Like Young Thug just had a project with Future, had a project. I'm not sure if he had a project with Gunna, but Future been doing it with Juice WRLD. Future did it with Drake. Like you said, Quavo did it with Travis Scott. Like, we're kind of over it at this point. So we see it just sound like another, like, hey, I'll make a song and I'm gonna just throw you on it. Like, it's just a bunch of the same songs with features on it, rather than let's come together and then blend our sounds and produce something.
Plus, we never got the one we wanted.
What, Lil Wayne and Drake?
Nah.
Who you talking about?
Kendrick and J. Cole.
Facts.
We never got the one that we wanted, bro. We never got the one that we wanted, bro. And we never will. I never thought we will, but I'm just saying, like, we never got the one we wanted.
It exists, but at this point in their career, it probably won't come up.
We'll never see it. Never see it like that. Go ahead, leakers. Go ahead. Scammers. Why did scammers turn into leakers though? The people that used to go the people that used to go around, like you pay them to get the polo shirt, those same people. Yeah. Now they scamming online, bro.
Hey, bro. Like the people that used to stand outside with like the DVDs and CDs, now they out there with the growth. The growth. Here go 15 Drake tracks, bro.
The growth. I applaud the growth, bro.
Hey, bro. The growth. The range.
The range and the growth. The range and the growth.
Right. So my last album, I actually just found out. I just found out this dropped, but I just highlighted Larry June last week, and I told you he'd been dropping projects. I said it was like 9 since 2018. Well, just go ahead and add on number 10 because he just dropped a project with the producer Cardo. It's called Cruise USA. Typical Larry June sound. It's 8 songs, 25 minutes, so real easy, digestible album. Got features on there such as Dom Kennedy, which I was looking forward to because him and Dom Kennedy really have a similar sound. Like they have that same type of beat structure and the same type of like laid back flow. So I really appreciated that. And honestly, I appreciate Larry June because he can talk about pimping, he can talk about hustling, he can talk about investing in stocks, investing in real estate, and talking about drinking organic smoothies all in the same song. like, like real talk. Like he be talking about so much, and it's like it seems authentic. Like he's like you could tell like pimping is just a part of that San Francisco like culture. So you just talking that talk like Too Short and everybody else, like that's just how he talk. Hustling, that's just a part of hip hop. But then he talk about like, hey, instead of buying rims or instead of buying jewelers, my jeweler told me, hey, you should go invest in some stock instead of buying this piece. So he went and did that. Hey, instead of buying rims on a car, I'm gonna go invest this in some real estate and I'm gonna triple up this money instead of just wasting it. And then just talking about like, hey, you know, I'm just drinking organic smoothies, like giving game, like, hey, you can't save everybody, but you can go get a bag. You know what I mean? Like you don't have to worry about everybody else's pocket, just focus on your pocket. So he may not be the most lyrical. He may not be like the number one on the chart. I don't even know if he's charting on Billboard right now, but like the messaging of what he's saying, like the range of everything that he's talking about, I really respect that.
That's what's up. That's what's up. I didn't hear that, so
I didn't even know it existed.
Yeah, I didn't hear that, but I'm looking for it right now.
Yeah, Larry June, Cruise USA. It's a dope project.
Did you listen to Nav Good Intentions?
I did, but I ain't got nothing. My mama said if he ain't got nothing good to say,
I thought, you know what I thought? I looked at the features on this: Young Thug, Future, Travis Scott, Lil Uzi Vert, Gunna, Pop Smoke. This Lil Durk is on here. I was like, oh, there's gonna be something.
Nav just a popular kid. He just popular.
I don't know who Nav is.
Hey, bro, he the brown boy from the 6, bro.
No, he don't.
He the brown boy.
Moving on. Moving on to the singles. You got any other singles in the moment I'm sure we about to talk about?
I got 3 singles. Like I said, I did my homework, boss. So you know what I mean. If I get the motor mouth, let me know. So
Peace.
for R&B, it's a single from a lady by the name of Umi. She dropped a song called Introspection. I heard her on an album last year, and I liked her voice. It reminds me of her, but a little softer. I think her when she speaks, like it's like feminine, but it got a little bit of bass to it. Like she really be talking that talk. But with Umi, she kind of sounds like her, but her voice is a little softer. I appreciate that. Like the song title, Introspection Stage, like she's just reflecting on things, talking about facing insecurity, facing your problems. Again, why I appreciate female R&B right now, just talking about real topics, you know what I mean? Things that we all go through. So I appreciated that. Musically, I like the contrast of that song because during the verse, it's just a simple like guitar riff and then like a boom, boom, bap, boom, boom, bap. But then as the hook comes in, like the instrumentation picks up and that acoustic guitar turns into like an electric guitar. So it's a very neat, I like the weird stuff, you know what I mean? Like I like my Kid Cudi, I like my 070 Shake, but it's a different track, R&B, smooth, I like it. But that's Umi, Introspection. My dog, my big homie, what I ride around listening to, Moneybagg Yo came out. He just dropped off a single called Me Versus Me. It's typical.
About that too.
Moneybagg Yo be working, bro. He averages about 2 to 3 projects a year. So the crazy thing, like he just dropped his project earlier in the year, and now he's gearing up for another one. He even dropped a video with it. Crazy, like he wearing like the gloves and everything, but he got all his jewelry on. Like a dope take on like the whole quarantine thing. But for me, it's a typical Moneybagg Yo song, which I don't think is a bad thing. Like I know his sound, it's just consistent. But yeah, this will be his second release of 2020 if this is gearing up for another album. So it's just showing that he's just putting in that work. And I appreciate that because a lot of rappers are formulaic and then he kind of accepts it. Like the baby, you can kind of see him struggling with it, but you got people that's just, who they are and what to expect. Moneybagg Yo knows who he is.
Yeah, I know exactly what he about to sound like when he comes out.
Yeah, you know exactly what the song is. And rather than just try to be something that he's not, he's going to give you the same thing, consistently give you a high quality project and then just keep being like producing, kind of like Gucci Mane. Like Gucci Mane gonna give you one type of sound and then he's gonna give you like 2 or 3 albums a year. So
You don't want to smoke with Gucci Mane. I've been thinking about all these versus battles and like Gucci Mane had a south on lock if he came out with the verse.
The only because Gucci Mane will really give you smoke though. Like it's not like Gucci Mane not playing. Gucci Mane not gonna play.
You won this one, but wait till I pull up at your crib.
I said, oh boy, you left your. I'm gonna pop up.
Gucci Mane get back.
Yeah, so that's a dope one though. Moneybagg Yo, Me Versus Me, and then my last single is Styles P, Time. So in connection, what we talked about last week, talking about like we're probably gonna hit on this in the next topic, but we need more OGs. You know what I mean? We need OGs in the game. And at this point in hip hop, people are actually allowed to get old. You know what I mean? And I think that Styles P is the truest form of the OG. Like his first album with the Lox came out back in 1998. So for him to still be delivering albums, still be delivering music 22 years later, like I really respect that. And he giving out game. Like he's filling his OG role. Like, you know what I mean? Like before Styles was just a wild dude telling you how he gonna poke you up, how he gonna stab you, how you gonna get money. He still do a little bit of that, but he give you some game. And which is I think is needed because like we was talking about last week, even in this song, he talking about reading people energy. Like, all right, bet. Like I know if this person acts this type of way when they get in a situation, I know how they gonna act based off the energy that they show me. Even to the point where I know if they're wearing these type of clothes, they can only have this type of gun on them because of how this gun sits in these type of clothes. So like, it might sound like he just talking like some gangster stuff, but that's real life game. Yeah, like if you really in that type of lifestyle, you got to pay attention to those type of things. Like if somebody is loud in a room, hey, you're going to keep your eye on them because that's not the type of person that's going to hold down a secret or be, with the play and not tell anybody. If somebody come in with some silk pants on or some super tight pants on, they can't have a gun that they claim to have because it's not going to fit in their pants. Like they're not going to be able to conceal it. So that's my type of rap. You know what I mean? Like put some game in there if you're going to be talking to people in that audience or that lifestyle. So Styles P, one of my favorite rappers of all time. Definitely just want to highlight him because I know that's going to go under the radar. But Styles P, Time, dope single.
Silk Pants is crazy. Silk Pants is nuts.
I think that's what he said in the bar too. Though, like I think he referenced
Silk
Silk
Pants.
Pants.
Crazy.
No, he said linen, like the linen. Yeah, he said linen.
The linen is crazy.
You remember the linen, dog?
The linen is even worse. You can't get neither one of them off, but the linen. Now you just broke in. Oh boy.
Hey, shout out to Styles, man. Shout out to Styles.
Let's get into the goober, bro.
Talk about your mans.
Why? Listen, you keep saying that.
All right.
I'm gonna take it to disrespect,
You gonna set it up or you set it up?
bro. You said what?
You gonna set it up or you wanna just go right into it?
Do you think you got it? You got it.
I don't wanna be talking too much now. You know what I'm saying? You know, I got
Oh,
17
okay.
pages of notes.
All right, I got you. So Tekashi 6ix9ine came out with a single. We've known that he's been out of jail for quite a long time now. Maybe quite a long time.
Since April 2nd.
Yeah. So, but a bit of time. So, he finally came out with some music. We thought it was gonna happen. He had some music video as well. I think currently, I was trying to look it up. Last time I seen that music video on YouTube was at 51 mil.
So
I'd imagine it might
now.
be. It's what
At the time of this recording, it's 67 million.
67, bro. It's just climbing and climbing and climbing. It's growing and growing. As far as we'll get into the music and then go into the politics of it, because we gonna go into our next topic with this. That makes sense.
Okay.
So this song terrible. this song is terrible, bro. It is it's not a good song. If people are watching it and it makes sense, like I don't. Sometimes when I say something is bad or when it's not for me or whatever verbiage I use, I always try to understand the success of it. So that's when you get into the politics of it, is the success of it. Why is it being successful? But as far as just musically, like we talked about music this last like 15, 20 minutes. So I'm going to try to give my best take on this musically. God, this is a bad song, bro. This is and I might be biased because I never really liked his music anyway. I never really liked Tekashi 6ix9ine music to start out with. So this is like this got to be his worst song though. It's really bad. Like it's
Thanks for the in-depth.
It's really bad. Like it's just I don't even know anything else to say about it. There's nothing. It's funny though. I've already seen the memes of it. It's funny. I'll give you that one. It is funny, but it is also bad as far as hip hop. I don't think this one gonna work for long term. But it is going. It did break YouTube. It did break Instagram Live. And we'll get into that in just a bit.
Yeah, it's projected to go #1 on Billboard. So I think he just capitalized on the moment. Like I can't say I don't like it. What I will say is he played his part with the song. Like he addressed everything that he needed to address. Like, all right, bet. He kind of played the 8 Mile approach. Like, all right, I'm gonna call myself a rat. I'm gonna own it, so y'all can't really use it against me. Like, all right, I'm a rat. I'm gonna put a rat emoji on my face and then laugh at it. Like, bro, I don't care. Y'all can call me a rat. That's not going to take me out. So he kind of like lessened that blow because that's what everybody's saying about him. Like, yo, he a rat. He a rat. Well, he's saying he's a rat. So you kind of got to say something else about that. So he kind of played the Eminem 8 Mile approach. But yeah, I'm not listening. I've never streamed the song, but I've watched the video multiple times. Multiple times. Like I think he did what he was supposed to do. Like I don't know. I don't really have too much to say on the music side of it. Like, I really don't have too much. Yeah.
That was it. You say you didn't. You say you can't say you didn't like it. So I'm assuming that you about to be banging that shit.
No. It was better than I expected. I'm not gonna lie. Like I listened to it. It wasn't completely terrible. Like
shit was
he showed different flows. Like
he did show different flows. I'll give you that. I was actually shocked. He did show.
He showed a different
flows was good.
Like I'm
but
not.
He did show different flows. I'll give you that.
He showed a different flow. I was like, okay, switch it up on this, bro.
Yeah, a couple times where he switched it up. I'll give you that.
Hey, I was like, okay, okay. He's developing, and he got a 2-album deal. Like 1 album gonna be in English, 1 gonna be in Spanish. So like, hey, like I said, I can't say too much about the music, but we got to get into the politics of it. Like it's the strategy, man. It's A1. The strategy is
Until he got
A1.
fucked up and caught. You seen today he got caught up.
Yeah,
He was on.
because somebody leaked his address.
Mhm.
Yeah,
He
but
was-
they moving him. You know what I mean? Like
Oh
everybody
yeah,
can't move them, but
yeah.
yeah. So if we're gonna talk about the numbers, man, I think he broke YouTube when he
Yeah.
initially released it because like it was getting viewed so many times, YouTube couldn't keep up with the views, so it would just get stuck. Like it would have 1,000,001 likes, but it only have like 400,000 views. But
Yep.
because so many people were watching it, so many people were clicking on it, it literally broke YouTube. And
It's a
it
big
broke
deal.
YouTube's record for a hip hop music video in the first 24 hours. He beat out Eminem, who previously had 38.1 million views, and his in the first 24 hours had 43.5 million views, which is crazy, bro. Like people don't get 1,000,000, let alone 43 in the first 24 hours. So
Yeah.
I don't think that's that's not attributed to his talent or the value of the song. It's just the whole situation. Like I don't see this being a reoccurring theme, but it's one of the biggest situations we haven't. This is unprecedented in hip hop. So
Mhm.
this is definitely a crazy moment. And it brought up a lot of conversations. It brought up a
Yeah.
lot of conversations because he did
Yeah.
go on Instagram Live and he
Yep.
broke all type of numbers when he went on Instagram Live. He had 2 million people on his Instagram Live and he went on like a 13, 14-minute rant about his whole situation. And
Let's talk about what he was going over, what we feel about it, and then we'll talk about the reactions too. Because
okay.
your man fell right into the trap. Well, we'll get into that. We'll get into that in a bit. No, don't shake your head now. Don't shake your head now.
Always though, he always do it.
Fall into the trap. Always fall into the trap. And when you post videos of you with the braids rapping, you already lost. He lost the battle, bro. But listen, so Tekashi 69, I'm gonna go over an overview of what I feel like what he's trying to say.
Mhm.
So basically, what is his view on the topic, whole topic of him snitching and everything like that is he's saying, why would I be loyal to people in jail or in a position like that when they weren't even loyal to me when I was in the outside? So I was outside, they was fuck my baby mama, they kidnapped me, they beat the shit out of me, they were trying to extort me for money. And then as all that was happening, we getting invested by the cops, you know, they come pick me up, they take me to a room basically, and what am I supposed to do? They asked me like, what about this, and this? I know I did some dirt, so the best way to get me out of this, but put the rest of the people away, was to snitch. That's his view of the. It's shortened, but that's clear? That makes sense.
Yeah.
So my view on that is he got a point. He got a solid point. Like to me, it seemed like he really is admitting that like, yo, I really wasn't ever about that life. Like I never really was a gamer. I never really was doing that. I know I did dirt because I was with them people. I know I did this, but at the same time that all that was happening, I was also being assaulted, being this, doing that. You know what I mean? I was getting did dirty. So when the time came to either put up for the people that was doing that to me or put them down, what decision would you make? You know what I mean? To me, it seemed like their whole scheme was to put them to extort him for money. That makes sense. If I was them, I'd probably do the same. Unfortunately, I'm not. But if I was them, unfortunately, I'm not. But if I was them, I'd probably do the same, right? So to him, he like, okay, well, if they gonna come in and try to do this, well, shit, the only real move I got is to snitch, let them out, and eventually get out, then continue doing my thing, and then at that point, I'll be in free. And that's why you can see in these videos, it seemed like he's extremely excited, extremely happy, extremely ready to go, because now he don't have a bunch of people looming over him, you know what I mean, doing these other type of shit. He cleared. He free. Now he still got to move from house to house. He can't be out in public doing all type of crazy shit, but at least he's free. He got his freedom, and I think that's what he was fighting for.
Yeah.
He got a point, bro. What would you do?
Yeah.
Say all right. So say just out of curiosity. Now we ain't doing gang, we ain't street.
Yeah.
So say we say I one time introduce you to some people, right? And they from the streets, they from the thing. They know you rap. Right? So they get on you and They push you forward. They put money behind you to start out. You start making money, then they start acting faulty, right? Then they start fucking with your people, fucking with you, with all this, fucking with your money, all this, and then they pull up on you and say like, "Yo, like these people is doing this. What do you do?"
Look, this is what I'll say. All right, this is what I'll say. All right, I understand it, but I don't condone or encourage it. All right, because
I agree.
I understand it, but I don't.
He did there too. I agree.
Right, because if in that situation, if I'm not built for that lifestyle, I'm not gonna put myself in situations for that lifestyle, and I think that's ultimately what happened here. So
that's the correct answer too.
Like I said, I understand it.
Yeah.
You know, I think, like you said, he got into a situation with some people whose ultimate goal was to extort him. You know what I mean? And ultimately, I think he exploited a situation that ruins our community. You know what I mean? I don't want to get super woke. You know what I mean? I'm probably gonna go super woke on this episode, but ultimately, we got to start looking at, you know, gang culture and all these type of cultures and see like what is the net benefit. Like, it's 2020. I get it. In the 80s, in the 90s, it was a different time. But in 2020, it's so many opportunities for us to get money, to be entrepreneurs, to take alternative routes to get money, to the point where if we still glorifying that type of lifestyle in 2020, we got to start looking at ourselves and we got to start looking at our community to say who's really the real OGs, who's really the people that we want to listen to. So we got to start looking at that whole lifestyle in a certain type of light. Like even Nipsey Hussle said, like, the streets is dead, bro. Like that type of lifestyle is just not, you can't really operate like that anymore. So that's one thing that I learned about that, because ultimately this is what happens in the street. So a lot of rappers, they want to sell you the fairy tale about people in the streets living by a certain code, people in the streets having a certain type of ethic. But when you really look back at it, bro, snitches took down the Black Panthers. Snitches took down the Irish mob. Snitches took down all these crazy criminal organizations that we look to with reverence today, but they always get taken down by FBI government informants. Like, that's a part of the game. Like Frank Lucas, an American Gangster. Like, yeah, we all look at the fur coats and we all see him winning, but hey, watch to the end of that movie. What happens? Homie turned into a snitch. Look at Paid in Full. You look at Money Making Mitch. You look at Sonny. Like, what happens? Betrayal, snitching. That's the game. So, like, I don't want to hear about, like, you know what I mean? I don't want to hear about, yo, this lifestyle, yo, I'm doing this. All right, what happens at the end of that movie? Because everybody doesn't make it out. Yeah. And this is what happens. And this is the first time we see it on a hip hop level. And like I said, I understand it because that's the game.
You don't make a career of it.
Yeah, but he's exploiting it. That's what I'm saying. He's exploiting it. This happens all the time in the hood. Like, we see Tekashi 6ix9ine. Like, I told y'all in the group chat, like, this exact situation happened to us. Like, that's the reason why my door got kicked in, because we was dealing with a Tekashi 6ix9ine type boy. Like, this happens all the time. So I understand it from a broad view perspective, but everybody involved deserves blame. If you are the quote unquote real dude in a situation, why are you running with this dude? Why are you exposing them to real criminal activity, putting your whole organization at risk? If we really want to look at it like that,
can't condone him or anybody else that was in that situation.
That's what I'm saying. Like, you can't just single him out like, oh, you a rat. You should have. That whole situation was bad.
All y'all was moving faulty.
That whole situation was bad. So when the cards fell, that's how the cards fell. So I understand why he did what he did. He's supposed to do that. I'm getting all excited and shit about not with my car.
Watch out now. Got that.
But that type of person is supposed to act like that. And that's like I was talking about with Styles P. You're supposed to peep that type of energy from that type of person. So we got, like, I'm just disappointed in the whole situation from if we're talking about that, you know what I mean? And I think that we got to start looking at this it's a fairy tale. When street rappers or street dudes like try to push off this, hey, this is how we operate in the streets. Nah, that's one side of it. You know what I mean? This is the broad picture. This is the reality of the game. Things like this happen. And it's just because.
Oh, go ahead.
No. You know, Martin Luther King right here, dog. Don't do that.
You can tell based off of the people that are successful that move from that street life into like rapping, right? Like they move from that to talking about it. Like just talking about, like 2 Chainz would be a good example of that, right?
Yeah.
Jeezy, people like that. They'd be good examples of like, yo, I used to live this life. I'm moving from it. Nipsey would be the best example, but moving from that to just now I'm just rapping about it. I'm strictly just making a living rapping about it. That's where you want to strive to be too. You don't want to have to keep doing this street shit because you can't make a career out of it, right? Should try to make a career out of being a street nigga and being in the industry at the same time. Look at where Suge is. Like it don't work. You can't be that and this. You have to choose one, bro. And if you choose one, you know how it's going to end because we haven't seen it in any other way. We haven't. We haven't seen it in any other way. It doesn't make sense.
And it doesn't. You know what I mean? And that's why when you say, like, he found out about, you know, all these things happening, like, that's the game, bro. Like, the game is ugly. You know what I mean? And you got to be willing to make that decision. Am I going to get uglier than the people around me to prove myself? Or am I going to step away and say, I'm not willing to get that ugly? But that's the game. People going to mess with your baby moms if she not, you know, on point like that. People going to try to take advantage of you if you got the bag and you don't know how to handle yourself. That's the game. If you're not willing to accept those rules, don't be in the game, bro. Don't be in the game. Like, it's that simple. Go get you a job. But I think that overall, I think this should be a lesson learned in the community and for people watching to just see, like, especially young people. Mm-hmm. That's not the route no more. We got so many different opportunities. Like the real hustlers, like the people that really did that, they'll tell you, like I said with the Mozzie album, they don't want to do that. They do it because they have to. They have no other options. Nowadays, we have so many other options. Yo, you can make so much money building an app, getting involved with technology. You can get a $100,000 paying job in your early 20s if you know how to use a computer. So it's like, you got to start looking at, like, what's the ultimate goal? Are you trying to look cool? Are you trying to get a bag? Let's get the bag, bro.
Yeah.
Facts.
Yeah, I agree.
But we not going to sit on Instagram and Twitter and argue with this dude, bro. Like, I hate when we do that, dog.
That's exactly what we moving into, bro. Why the fuck? What? This is the same. I don't know who said it, but the thing about, you know, arguing, you can't argue with a clown because people from further away, they can't see who's the clown when they arguing.
Right.
Like, I don't know who said that. I'll put it up on the screen when we do the little thing. But boy, you look silly trying to go at this dude. Now there's some people that said things that I was like, okay, well that's kind of a subtle, like, you know, like Rich the Kid made a post was like the fact that people coming out and saying like they King of New York and they actually a rat, like that's kind of lame. Like he's just putting his little 2 cents in. Meek went on a full rant, bro. You can't do that. Because you look lame when you do that. You stoop to a level you don't need to be in. Meek, we've been talking about this several times about Meek. Like, bro, you can't keep stooping to that level, bro. You've already grown past that. Meek was already at the point where he was going at everybody that said anything against him that he didn't like, he disagreed. He was already at that point. Now we at the point where Meek he's working on bigger and better things. Like he's working with district attorneys and people in the government in Philadelphia to try to get it better. And we know how bad Philadelphia is. We'll go over that. We can talk about, we probably talked about that several times throughout this podcast, but he's in a bigger and better place that he shouldn't be putting himself in these type of, whether he feel it was right or wrong. I'm not saying Meek didn't have a point. Meek had a point. He's saying like, yo, you did dirt too. Like you shouldn't, like, don't be out here like that now. I understand that concept of it, but he might play by different rules than Meek play by. That's what Meek don't understand. Meek play by some real shit rules. Tekashi 9 don't give a fuck about those rules. He's a troll. So when you going at him over some shit that you feel like he should adhere to, he don't have to adhere to that shit. Why would he? Why would I? I'm not. We ain't on the same shit. So Meek looking real wild out here doing shit like that. Now he came out and was like, yo, like chill, like I'm. You know what I'm saying? Like I was pressed, but you know what I mean, take my Twitter account and don't ever get it back. I'm like, bro, this is like 5 years removed from Twitter fingers, bro. Like you still acting like this, bro. You still acting like this. It's not a good look. That's your man. I'll let you speak on.
Yeah, man. I was disappointed. I was severely disappointed. You know, coming from Philly, like I've seen, like I remember the videos that he posted when he's talking, like I remember he actually has a song called Rat. Like that verse that he was spitting is from like his not debut, but like the mixtape that put him on the map to get him signed to like Grand Hustle was called Flamers. So that first Flamers mixtape is a song on there called Rat, which that verse that he was spitting came from, which is one of the biggest songs like in the city. Like you ride around in the city during that time, all you'll hear is Flamers. Like everybody was playing Flamers because he literally had he was the hottest in the city. So I appreciated that from that aspect, but you can't, like you said, you can't go to war with a troll because like we learned about this with when T.I. went at Kodak Black.
Yeah.
You can't stoop to that level because they operate at that level.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's a whole new generation. People on social media don't care about these old school street rules. They care about what's funny in the moment. They care about a meme. They care about the quick jokes. And Tekashi 6ix9ine was killing them with the jokes. Meek was giving them facts. Yo, we can't condone snitching because the whole snitching thing is what got Nipsey killed. Yes, but people don't care about that. You know what I mean? People care about these jokes. They care about the moment. They care about Tekashi 6ix9ine. They care about riding that wave. So when he get into the comments and say, imagine just having a baby and then being worried about a rat.
Yeah.
Tekashi 6ix9ine got that win because that's a funnier comment and it's actually true and relevant to the statement, bro.
That's
why
how he moves.
Why are you so pressed?
You're not gonna beat me in my room.
Exactly. So it's like Meek should be able to see that. You know what I mean? But I get where he's coming from. I understand the place he was coming from, but ultimately Tekashi got the best of him. And he shouldn't have been put in that situation. He shouldn't have been so caught up in that to where he couldn't see. Bro, just leave that alone. Nipsey Hussle said it best when anytime they asked him about Tekashi 6ix9ine, he would never speak on it. He said the real gonna last, the fake gonna self-destruct. So until they self-destruct, put them on goofy time, let them do what they do because the more you give energy to it, the more you fuel that flame. Yeah. I'm not even going to address that. That's not even, I don't live by those rules, so I'm not going to speak on that because I don't condone that. Anytime I speak on that, I'm going to add more fuel to it, which I don't condone. Hey, he on goofy time right now. That's all I got to say. I'll have my personal opinions about it, but that ain't for nobody to see because you can never win that fight. That's all you got to do, bro. That's all you got to do.
He was ahead of his time, bro.
But
he was way for it.
Hey, bro, like I can literally answer every topic, every question with something Nipsey said. That's why I'm getting a Nipsey poster. Like it literally,
it's crazy
coming in. Like
it's insanity.
It's like he literally
going back and listen to all his interviews. Insanity.
Just jewels, bro. Just jewels, man.
But, and I was asleep. Now, I'm not gonna be one of the people that act like I was always listening. I was not always listening to Nipsey Hussle. I was not always listening to his interviews, watching that. I kind of enjoyed his music. I wasn't really like. Now, bro, I'm mad. I was so asleep, bro.
Yeah. It's I'll talk about it in my positivity shout out, but Nip is the GOAT, man. We miss him out here, man.
So
man, let's get some good vibes going there because I got a little tense, I get a little a little tense.
Brother King, settle down, Brother King. Settle down, Brother King.
Yeah, let's get a little tense, boy.
So for those that don't know, Jill Scott and Erykah Badu, they went into a versus battle. Last night. It was about 3.5 hours long, maybe.
Facts.
It was long. It was a long ass time. But the interesting thing about it is, and not even interesting what it should probably be when two queens like that get on the mic, it was like a celebration, really. It wasn't even really like a versus battle. Like it was a good vibe in there. Like if you watched it, or if you want to go back to YouTube, I'm sure it's on YouTube at this point. Mm-hmm. If you just search it up. But go into it, look into it. I guarantee you will feel better going through that whole thing. Like they made sure they stopped between certain songs and they talked for a bit and they bid each other up, and it was never anything like they were going at each other. They were just kind of bigging each other up the whole time. Like they were never even really versus. It's hard to even call it a battle because they just played songs and just enjoyed each other's songs. They just talked about why I like this song and why this song is great and why this song is great. And all their music is great. Jill Scott has great songs. She's a great singer. She's a great artist. Erykah Badu is extremely original. Like you can't copy Erykah Badu's style. Like she is who she is. She's a queen. She's a queen for that reason. So them going back and forth on each other, it wasn't really a versus battle. And that was probably one of my favorite battles. But it really wasn't a versus battle. It was just a celebration of music. It was just two queens playing music, enjoying each other, talking to the people, telling them why they think they should enjoy this music. and it was like 500K the whole time, like the whole entire time.
Yeah, at one point it actually broke the versus like viewer rate because it got up to 750, almost 750, but it reached 749,000 people, which is the highest view, even beating out Teddy Riley and Babyface, because I think they had about 500,000. But yeah, they broke the record for most views for a versus battle.
I'm sure that does have something to do with just Instagram capabilities, though, like not being able to let that many people in. I know Tekashi 6ix9ine did 2. But that's I don't know how that works exactly. I feel like
I think Babyface and Teddy Riley set this up, but so like you can tell with Babyface and Teddy Riley, like you said, that was a battle. Like it was some shade being thrown, like they was talking crazy, like you could tell it was a battle. Like I'm better than you, and you can't really say it any other way. This was a display from two queens. Like literally, as you watch it, you feel better. Like all the comments were just saying, like, I needed this healing. Like you could just feel the positivity going from each one. Like Jill Scott will play a song and then Erykah Badu will be like, I remember when you performed that song at the House of Blues in LA and I just shaved my head and I was going through something and I sat in the front row and I just cried as you sang that song. And then she was like, I remember that because you came backstage and I just didn't know what to say to you because I was so in awe of you being backstage. And like things like that is just that type of love and that type of respect to be shown by two legends. Like you gotta, it's hard to see because it's like Jill Scott, like she's still active. Erykah Badu is still active, but they are our legends. They are this generation's versions of like the classics. Like as they played their songs, I'm like, bro, this is timeless. This is timeless. Which kind of my biggest takeaway is we need to get back to that, bro.
Man, like, that's tough.
They were playing timeless music, like to the point where you would just hear like the music, like ultimately their vibes and their energy kind of was spreading because like Jill Scott was smiling and Erykah Badu was just giving good energy and the compliments. Like it was contagious, but even the music was just contagious with positive energy and just talking about love and just talking about real life. And it's so rare nowadays to hear that because we all just want to be, you know, thugged out. We all want to be demon time. We all want to be savages. But yo, that was a moment. You know, they had Michelle Obama in the chat giving it up like, yo, this is amazing. They had so many name a celebrity. They were in the comments. I mean, for 3.5 hours, people were in there the entire time, like having a conversation. Yo, I remember being in high school when this happened. Yo, I can't believe they forgot to play this one. Hey, play this. Like that's the power of our community, man. And we'll talk about this in our next topic, but we gotta be more conscious of the type of power that we hold or the type of power that these individuals hold that we kind of exalt to be our superstars, our artists that we look to kind of spread that message, because I think that generation did a good job of saying, Jill Scott, here, you are who we want to represent this generation. Erykah Badu, here, we want to shine a spotlight on you because their music really spoke to things dealing with religion, talking about relationships, talking about, you know, they can get ratchet and talk about fighting, you know, over a dude, but it was done in such a way it's still classy. You know, they could talk about, you know, having sex and everything like that, but like Jill Scott was saying, like, that's one of my dirty songs, but she didn't say a curse word in it. And Erykah Badu was like, that's dirty? She was like, yeah, it was just a lot of innuendos. She was like, bro, nowadays people just come out and say it. Like, I want to do this,
that sound, their sound is what Jhené Aiko, Snow Allegro, that's what they evolved into.
Yeah.
But this is where it really started at, this sound. And it's amazing.
Right.
It's top tier.
And I think that's kind of why you were so hard on like the Kailanis and everything, because like if you're gonna make that type of music, like this is the standard we're holding you to.
Yeah, it's hard to listen to that after listening to all that music for 3.5 hours.
Facts. But I think we got some good. Like I think Snow Allegra, if she can keep it up, I think she can do that. Summer Walker, even with the vulgarity of the music, you know, that's just a different time. I think that it could happen where these artists can do it, but it's just nice.
Jhené Aiko to me is the closest to them.
Yeah,
She's the
and
closer of the new
she's
age.
been consistent over a long period of time.
She's
too.
been amazing. Yeah, she don't get us wrong. Just because we criticize one album or one of a few songs of that album, she's been amazing.
Right.
She's
Absolutely.
been the pilgrim for this generation of that. Like she's made this shit happen.
Fact. Yeah, but it like you said, bro, just to have queens, bro, like that. It you hear a lot of different podcasts talking about like, oh, I think it's gonna get catty. I think it's gonna be some shade thrown or whatever like that. And we kind of all. I think subconsciously we do that whenever we put two women against each other. Like we want that, we want to see that. But this was just the ultimate display of class, the ultimate display of like, hey, you can have two queens within the same realm and coexist, and we can still appreciate you, and we can still appreciate you in the context of a battle. Nobody had to pick a side.
Yeah,
That's the crazy thing. That's something that we need to see. And this was set up to be a battle, but it eventually became, you know what? I respect you too much to take it there. I respect you too much to take it there. We got real life history. Like, hey, I remember you wrote this song for me, and I love that I sung it, and I hope I did you proud when you did this. Hey, I wrote this song for you because I wanted you to sing this. Like,
beautiful.
that type of energy, that type of respect, that's what we need. That's the type of stuff we need to highlight. That's the type of stuff we need in our community, man. So I think I'm glad that this was as successful as it was. I'm glad I got to enjoy it. 3.5 hours, that's a long time, but you know what I'm saying?
I did step out for a bit. It was a long time.
Yeah, but I'm glad it exists. I'm glad that we're able to. I'm glad that verses exist because it's highlighting, putting a spotlight on people that we kind of need.
It's one of the great things to come from quarantine. Like it's definitely one of the great things. Like, you know what? Sure. Relax. Everybody relax. Everybody relax.
Cool.
That's how it was. So yeah, just that. All right. So next up though, Nelly and Ludacris. Nelly and Ludacris.
I'm excited for that one.
Nelly and Ludacris. That's gonna be a good one.
I'm excited for that one.
That's gonna be back to battle. That's
a battle right there.
Yeah, that's a battle.
That's a battle. I'm excited.
I didn't want to see them two battle. I didn't want to see Jill Scott and Erykah Badu battle. I wanted to see them just play music like that. They gave me exactly what I felt like I was going into.
Facts.
Nelly and Ja Rule.
What?
Get that. get that.
Really, nigga?
Get them out of here. Right. Nelly and Ludacris though. That's the one.
I was asleep on Nelly till we saw him in Vegas.
Nelly in Vegas was
Nelly in Vegas is crazy.
Nelly in Vegas showed me exactly what that was crazy.
Yeah. All right, now I just want to apologize in advance. Your boy done got my associates in law researching this next topic, but if I go crazy, you know what I mean, it's because I'm passionate. You saw how passionate I got about that Tekashi 6ix9ine topic. I could almost guarantee I'm about to get just as passionate for this topic. So I apologize when I get long-winded, Kevo. If I get to talking crazy or if I get to talking too much, you know what I'm saying, feel free to step in to check me, all right? But
I hit you with this.
Yeah, I don't think you should never do that again.
I'll tell you never do that again.
All right, so I'm gonna go in. I'm gonna explain the situation. It's a lot, but I'm gonna just to set up the whole situation just to make sure that we all on the same page. So we're talking about Ahmaud Arbery. So on February 23rd, Ahmaud Arbery was shot and killed as he jogged through a neighborhood in Brunswick, Georgia. He was confronted by Gregory McMichael and his son Travis McMichael, who thought that Ahmaud was a suspect in a string of burglaries. Hand quotations, if you just listen in a quote unquote string of burglaries in a neighborhood. It later came out that only one burglary was reported in the neighborhood since January, which was a stolen gun in an unlocked car outside of Travis McMichael's house. So it's already some connection in there. But afterwards, Travis McMichael admitted to shooting Ahmaud after a confrontation occurred when Ahmaud was jogging and the two confronted him in the middle of the road, with Gregory actually holding a shotgun as they made that confrontation. So again, this happened in February 23rd, but no arrests were made. But public outrage kind of forced this issue to happen after the 2 days after the video was leaked. So the video was leaked on May 5th, and the father and son, Travis and Gregory McMichael, were arrested on May 7th. So the video was actually leaked by a attorney named Alan Tucker, who said that he wanted to leak the video in an effort of transparency because the McMichaels consulted with him and asked him, like, what should we do? And without that video, there were just a bunch of rumors in that community saying that these people were just Confederate flag people. They went and they hunted them. And then people on one side were just saying that this person initiated it. They said it was just like a very divisive issue because it just now got like nationwide prominence, but this has been going on in Brunswick since February. So they leaked that video on May 5th. And then after which social media kind of took up. And then now those two, Gregory and Travis McMichael, have been arrested. So 2 district attorneys have recused themselves from the case because they had prior dealings with Gregory McMichael, because Gregory McMichael was a former Glenn County police officer. So one of those dealings that he had with the prosecutor actually involved prosecuting Ahmaud for a previous conviction. They didn't say what that prosecution was for, but they actually worked together to prosecute them. So that's the second connection that these two have had with Ahmaud. So if you connecting the dots, I don't really have to say too much more. So they were both arrested, Gregory McMichael and Travis McMichael. They were arrested and charged with murder and aggravated assault. And the man who recorded the video, he is now being investigated, but he hasn't been arrested as of yet. So the McMichaels are claiming that they were within their rights because they were trying to make a citizen's arrest of Ahmaud when they actually made that confrontation. So now the topic of discussion is, were the McMichaels in the right for trying to make that citizen's arrest based on the circumstances, or was Ahmaud wrongfully murdered? So now we'll have that discussion with that long backstory of what do you see in this actual case? So like, what are your thoughts of this? It's a global issue, as I want to say, like so many people are paying attention to it.
Absolutely. I think that it's, here's the thing. So I would hope that if I, or anybody that I knew was jogging down the street and got murdered in cold blood, the killers would be arrested immediately, right? Like you would think, at least. The unfortunate part of this is that even if you examined everything that happened, you would think that it would be just basic, not even good police work. Basic police work would tell you that these people need to be at minimum arrested, whether he was a cop or not. The fact that he was a cop makes it even more blurred, because that makes you feel like, okay, so in February, this guy was murdered. Here we are in March or April, late April, depending on when did he say they got arrested?
May 7th.
May 7th. So here we are in May, and they're just now arresting these people. And that's based off of the outrage of everybody else. That's a nasty system that we have to play. That's a disgusting system that I do not want to be a part of. If it takes everybody in social media and anything else in the community to get outraged just for you to make an arrest that should have happened anyway, that should have been basic police work, we in a bad spot. We in a really nasty spot if it takes that everybody else to influence you to make sure that you do the right thing. That's not a place that I want to be in. And I don't care what state it's in. I know it's in Georgia. I don't care what state it's in. If we have to have the outrage of people to make sure that you make an arrest of somebody or make sure that you do the right thing, period, we are in a bad spot. We're in a nasty spot. We should never be able to, you should be able to have to do that because that's what your job is. I talked about last week in my positivity shout out about teachers and principals, right? They're public servants. They have to, they're paid to do the right thing no matter what. Police officers are even in a higher state because they have more power over the people in reality. So they have to do the right thing. Detectives have to do the right thing. DAs have to do the right thing. And all of the things that you said as far as who's connected and who's not makes sense as to why this person wasn't arrested until May. That's what I would have to say. That's the first thing, at least.
Yeah, I think that's that's actually what caused the holdup, because as new district attorneys or as new prosecutors got involved in the case, they started to realize who they were, like who this person was and what their prior dealings were. And of course, with the whole epidemic going on around the country, that obviously pushed things back as well. And ultimately, the whole timing of it all, I don't really put too much on that. As far as I think the epidemic kind of slowed it down, because as it moved through the process, everybody took a time, investigate the situation, and say, oh, I know this person. I can't give an unbiased viewpoint on it. So I have to recuse myself. I have to send it to somebody else. Oh, I know this person. I can't investigate it. I have to send it. And I imagine that's a long process on top of a global epidemic. Global epidemic. So that I can't put too much weight in. I do appreciate the lawyer that leaked the video, because that kind of what happened before is that the video wasn't given to the cops, and that was they were just taking the word of what happened, because obviously after the situation happened, the only person that can speak to the situation was Gregory McMichael and Travis McMichael. So what the cops did is just say, hey, what happened? Hey, we were trying to make a citizen's arrest. He attacked us. He was the aggressor. We had the gun. He tried to take the gun, so I was in fear for my life, and we shot him. And that was the case. But the parents of Ahmaud kept putting pressure on the I think it's the Georgia Bureau of Investigations. I think it's the GBI. So she kept putting pressure, like, hey, I want some answers. Like, hey, I want some answers. And then continuously and protest. And they deserve a lot more credit, because they just didn't give up on the case with so much going on. So with that, she kind of put pressure for those prosecutors to recuse themselves, to say, hey, you know what? If you want answers, I can't really give you unobjective answers, so I'm going to give it to somebody else. Now, when we're talking about the charges, it's going to be tough for them to get a murder conviction, because if you look at the Georgia Code for murder, it explicitly states that somebody has to have malice aforethought, or basically they have to have a predetermined reasoning or intention to go out and kill somebody. That's how you convict somebody for murder. All right. So it's very hard to prove intention in a court of law. You know what I mean? And that's, they kind of already set in the stones to say, we were trying to make a citizen's arrest. We didn't go out there trying to kill him. We were going out there trying to make a citizen's arrest, which they weren't in the right doing for that. Like they weren't in the wrong right for doing the citizen's arrest, because the Georgia Code for making a citizen's arrest, you have to actually be in the vicinity and actually see a crime being committed for you to pursue somebody and make a citizen's arrest. Them seeing video of it, or them saying that there is a quote unquote string of burglaries, doesn't give them the authority to go out to make a citizen's arrest. So hopefully the defense team or the prosecuting team is going to make that kind of abundantly clear, so they can't hold on the we were trying to make a citizen's arrest case. But I imagine that will be the argument.
Yeah.
Now, they do have a case, and they have a very, very strong case for voluntary manslaughter, because voluntary manslaughter says that a person commits the offense of voluntary manslaughter when he causes the death of another person under any circumstances, whether they have that malice aforethought or not. So that's just saying that you go out there and you, it says you have a irresistible, sudden, and violent passion resulting from serious provocation sufficient to excite passion in any reasonable person. So that's just saying that you go out and have a situation and you have this sudden and violent and irresistible urge to commit violence that ends up killing somebody, which ultimately what happens. Regardless of what your intention was, you killed somebody because of this incident that happened. They have a very, very strong case for manslaughter, but I don't think that they'll have a strong case for murder, because it's going to be hard to prove that they went out there with the sole intention of trying to murder him.
Yeah.
But it's not impossible, because of the two connections that I explained earlier. One, Gregory McMichael, the father, actually helped prosecute Ahmaud earlier. So he already had some type of initial bias, and he already knew Ahmaud from previous dealings, and he already had a clouded vision of him. Two, the only burglary that was reported is somebody stole a gun outside of Travis McMichael's house. So it seems, if you can put those together, it seems like they have a vendetta towards Ahmaud. And what happened, they saw a person on video going through and, I think it was a construction site, and going through an unauthorized construction site and taking something. They based what they saw in that video and said it was Ahmaud. So I imagine that the attorney or the prosecutor will try to pit those two facts together. Is you already have this dealings with this person, and now you're trying to attribute another crime to it. It sounds intentional from that. And if you're going to make a citizen's arrest, what makes you go out so heavily armed, and why are you the person that's actually causing the provocation of the act? Because Ahmaud was unarmed, he was running. You went out there with the shotgun, so actually causing the scene to escalate beyond what it needs to do. You outnumbering him would make it feasible to make a citizen's arrest. You know what I mean? If that's something that you feel as though you need to do right now. And then you having that, you thinking that you have the authority because you're a retired police officer, that doesn't give you the right to go out and kind of use the law at your advantage. That's making you a vigilante. That's not actually upholding justice.
No.
So I think that I really want to pay very close attention to this case, because I think we need to learn from it, because it's easy to look at something and say morally this should happen. Morally this should happen. All right, the right thing to do is this, but we have to look at it in the context of the law. And I say that because we need to do, and I say our community has to really look into the law and say, what is murder? What is manslaughter? How can you defend yourself? What is stand your ground? And instead of letting other people take those laws and their knowledge of the laws and using that against us, we need to empower ourselves. And just like I did, it took me, 5 hours, but I feel very comfortable of what my rights are if I was to live in Georgia when it comes to protecting myself, protecting somebody I care for, and knowing when I can defend myself against somebody that's making that provocation against me. We need to take that same approach to understand what the laws are in our country, in our community, in our state, to say, hey, this is how standing my ground in my state can help me from getting attacked. This is how keeping a weapon on me, a registered weapon on me, can help me from getting hunted down by two people that already have misdealings with me. This is what I need to know about the law so that people can stop using it against my community and I can start using it to defend my community. Because ultimately, we don't care about this law. We don't care about these circumstances until we lost somebody. And then we start looking at it from a moral standpoint of, oh, they killed a black man. They shouldn't be allowed to get away with it. But when you look at the law, it's not that easy to convict somebody of murder, because you have to prove that they went in there and they had the intention of doing something. Let's focus on getting them the max for voluntary manslaughter, which is 20 years. Let's focus on, that's a realistic expectation. And we need to learn to accept that. All right, he was killed wrongfully, but due to the law, the max we can get is 20 years. So the same way that we were able to use social media to kind of shift the culture to actually have everybody talking about this up to the president of the United States, let's use that same power that we've proven that we have to say, hey, this is for sure voluntary manslaughter. We're not accepting anything less than 20 years. I think they can make a case for murder, but if he doesn't get, or if they don't get convicted of murder, that shouldn't be necessarily a loss.
I'm confident that they can do both though, right?
They can do both, but it is going to be a harder case to make for murder because of the whole citizen's arrest and there was an altercation. Yeah. Because of the video, it doesn't clearly show how that altercation starts. Like, it's very hard to kind of pinpoint. Because Ahmaud can't give his side of the story, they have the advantage to kind of frame what happened from their perspective. Yeah. I don't think that it's impossible, but we have to start looking at the law that way. We have to understand, okay, the law, the Georgia Code for voluntary manslaughter, I believe is it's Title 16, Section 5, Chapter 2. It says you have to have that malice afterthought. You have to express that premeditated vision of, I'm going out there to kill him. Probably they did have that, which is why they brought the guns, but you have to be able to prove that in a court of law. And this isn't the court of public opinion. In the court of law, people are innocent until proven guilty. So you have to prove that beyond a reasonable doubt that they had that intention, which is a hard proof. But you could focus on, and I actually misquoted that. That was the code for a voluntary manslaughter. We can definitely prove, not we, but they can definitely prove that this was voluntary manslaughter and look to get the maximum sentence for that. And we got to start having these conversations. We really need to dig into the law. We really need to understand what our rights are. We really need to understand how we need to protect ourselves and what we need to do to prevent these situations from happening. Because going on social media and making a hashtag, okay, that's good for raising awareness, but what do we do? Because this is an ever-growing cycle that keeps happening, and we're not having, again, like Jay-Z said, we don't have any actionable items. We can't just keep going out and crying wolf, because this seems to happen every election cycle. What happens is one of us gets murdered during an election cycle, somebody flips it for their political gain, and then we fall asleep again until it happens again when they need us to get their vote. So let's not keep falling victim to this same trick, and let's educate ourselves and figure out what we need to do so we can stop being on the victim end of this.
And this ain't the only one in this time frame. This ain't the only one in the last month, 2 months. Like this is just adding on, it's adding up. Got to figure something out right here.
My fault for talking so much. I don't.
No, do you think?
Yeah.
That was good. I appreciate you.
You know what I'm saying? I'm about to go take my test for the bar. You know what I'm saying?
No, man, I appreciate you, man.
Yeah, man. Follow me at King Eons if you want some legal advice. You know what I mean? I can look up the
Follow him, but don't follow for that reason. Don't follow for that reason.
Oh man. All right. So that's my
that's
my brother King rant of the day. You know, hopefully that wasn't too bad.
No, that was good. That was good. That made a lot of sense. It put into a perspective a lot of things that we need to think about.
Yeah. So, real quick before we start, so I think I misquoted. So the Georgia code for murder is 16-5-1, and the code for for voluntary manslaughter is 16-5-2. So hopefully when we get the video up, either you or I can get the screenshot and actually put that on the screen to see. You can actually read it for yourselves.
Yeah. I'll make sure to put that up there.
Yeah.
So next, to close it out, we got the positivity shout out. So for the positivity shout out, I got DL Hughley. So DL Hughley is somebody I've been following for a long time. And I know you're thinking like, ain't that just the Joker guy to do a lot of stand-up comedy and shit like that? And you would be right to say so. DL Hughley, to me, it's hard to transition from talking about comedy to politics. But if you do, the real thing that you have to be aware of is that comedians, they don't have a bar. They pass any bar. They talk about anything they want to. They say anything that's on their mind because they're comedians. So when a comedian trans over, and even celebrities at some point, but anytime comedians transition to talking about politics in any type of way they want, they say whatever they want. And I appreciate that. I appreciate that from DL Hughley because he has a show, the DL Hughley Show, and it's really great. It's great. It talks about any type of thing. It has the topic that we just talked about. It has any topics that you can think of in the Black community. He goes into and he talks about, and he tells you why he thinks that those are bullshit, why he thinks that this is right, why he thinks that this is wrong, why he thinks that we should transition to this. He's been doing this for a very long time. It's not just now. It's been a long time coming. The DL Hughley Show has been going on for a long time, but every episode he has a part where he goes into why he thinks this situation is this or that, why he thinks this situation is wrong or right. And if he goes into it, he gives you a very good explanation. I'm not saying it's always the best explanation. I'm not saying it's always the best way to do it. I'm just saying that he does it. And some people are scared to do it. And that's why DL Hughley deserves my positivity shout out for this week.
Love. Yeah, he definitely he good at mixing like some facts and keeping it funny. Because that's how you really spread the message. Like,
yeah, he's an entertainer.
Yeah.
So he's good at keep you entertained while you listening to what you listening to, even if it's politics.
Facts. That's a good one. So I want to give a positivity shout out to, I don't know his real name. All I know is what he goes by is called Quake, but he has a YouTube channel called Diverse Mentality, and he actually released a 5-part documentary series on Nipsey Hussle. So I can't express how much like Nipsey Hussle has influenced me. Just like he said in one of his interviews, like you can look, if you don't have like a positive role model in the house, if you don't have a father figure there, we used to be able to go to celebrities, comedians, artists, and get some type of game from them so they can lead us to say, okay, this is how I need to be more well-informed, or this is how I need to move to get some money. So I really, at a young age, like I was about 17, 18 when I found Nipsey Hussle, and kind of like what I'm saying with Larry June, I appreciate you to be able to speak on, yeah, you a gangbanger, but also talking about stocks. And I'm also talking about leaving the hood to go and travel country, and rather than sign a 360 deal, I'm actually 360 myself and give away music and sell clothes. Like that type of mentality, it kind of really opened up my mind to different possibilities of what it is to be an artist. So again, we lost him last year, and it's been hard to kind of accept that. But this 5-part documentary series, it takes a look at his life all the way from the time that he was young, all the way up until his ultimate death, and then what happened afterwards. So I think I learned a lot. They got a lot of like household clips or homemade clips from him, like growing up, and then they piece apart like a lot of his interviews talking about how he grew up and all the different situations that he went through. And I think that we often remember the image of somebody or the legend of somebody, but we never take the time to look at, okay, what's every step that they went through, and how can we take that apart and dissect it and apply it to our lives. So even as somebody is going through a point, like I've learned a lot about how to maneuver as Nipsey maneuvered, even though he was in a gang, but how he conducted himself moving in a gang mentality. I can take little lessons from that and apply it to my corporate level job type of knowledge type of thing. So I respect Nipsey Hussle's mind. I respect what he did. I respect his message. So this documentary is called Nipsey Hussle, The Last Lap, on diverse mentality. I want to shout out to that because it definitely kind of put the spotlight that needs to be put on Nipsey Hussle instead of everybody just screaming his name. And as the years go by, people will kind of like stop singing his praises so much because it's not a popular thing to do. For this documentary to come at this time, I definitely did appreciate that. So shout out to Diverse Mentality and Quake for releasing that documentary on Nip.
Where's it at again? Where can you see it?
So on YouTube, it's a channel called Diverse Mentality, and if you just search Nipsey Hussle, the last lap, it's a 5-part series, and then you can just watch that. Dope. Super dope.
Oh yeah, shit. Let me go ahead and get it. You know what I'm saying? Let me get it.
Oh, I thought you was about to play That Was Time for So Long.
Yeah, man. You know what it is?
Yeah, I don't think you should never do that again.
We wasn't synced up. We wasn't on that.
Give it a second. All right, I got you right here.
No, I'm good.
Just one more song.
I'm good, bro. You know, gonna catch me. You gonna catch me. You ain't gonna catch me over here Tootsie Slide no more. Nah. I got dance like Michael Jackson.
You could do so.
I was trying to think of a dance, but I don't know how to dance, so I couldn't think of one. So you ain't gonna catch me. Oh damn, what's the dance?
You can. All right, man. All right, we thank y'all for tuning in, man. This the Who Am I podcast. Look,
look at you. Look at him. Look at you, man. I got you, bro.
Yeah, go ahead.
Thanks everybody for tuning in. Once again, another episode of the Who Am I podcast. If you haven't already, go ahead and make sure to subscribe to our YouTube. Go ahead and subscribe and follow us on social media, whether that be Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, I just said Facebook. Go ahead and follow Facebook again, but go ahead and listen to us on all streaming platforms. If you just want to listen to the audio, download the Anchor app. Go ahead and listen to us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, basically anywhere where you can stream a podcast. We are there. We just appreciate all the support. Thank you for tuning in each and every week. If you want to be included in the episode, even if you want to be included, like if you want to send in a video message or if you want to send in an audio message, go ahead, download the Anchor app to send in an audio message. If you want to be sending a video message, just let us know. Hit us up in a private message on one of those social media sites. We can definitely get you involved. If you want to become a supporter, we do appreciate that as well. But ultimately, the biggest thing that we can ask for is just listen to the podcast, support the podcast, and just tell everybody about it. So we appreciate each and every one of y'all. Damn, I needed some speeching classes.
Brand new YouTube, though. Brand new YouTube.
I need.
Had at the Huma podcast, man. Go ahead, go follow that, go subscribe.
Go and get that now.
Better. We need that.
Yeah,
Alright.
yeah, yo, yeah.
Who am I? The girls them sugar. Who am I? The girls them sugar.